The New York Times may now be ensnared in a brewing scandal over its coverage of Epstein. One America's Richard Pollock has more from Washington.
Another shoe dropped in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal when Joy Ito, the director of MIT's Media Lab, resigned following a New Yorker report he secretly funneled millions of dollars from the convicted sex offender to the university. Ito knew what he was doing was wrong, as he instructed aides to hide the donations by describing them as anonymous. But here's the real news about Ito. Since 2012, he has also served on the board of directors of none other than the New York Times. So what role did Ito play to influence and shape the Times news coverage? One American News formally asked the Times how it avoided an obvious conflict of interest by having an Epstein promoter on its board while its reporters were trying to cover the convicted pedophile. So far, the Times has refused to respond to our inquiry. A One American News investigation shows the Times has been repeatedly soft on its Epstein coverage. It's revealing that the Times, in reporting his resignation, went on to publish an article about Mr. Ito describing him positively as a tech evangelist and a master networker. In fact, Ito actually brought Epstein to MIT's campus over the objections of female staff and faculty. Ito told one alarmed faculty member to stop complaining about the convicted sex offender, adding that Epstein was, in fact, fascinating. You know, Ito said, he's really fascinating. Would you like to meet him? The Times also ignored a blockbuster November 2018 Miami Herald expose about Epstein, which eventually convinced federal prosecutors to reopen the case. Last month, Liberal National Public Radio called out the Times as one of 3 national news outlets that was reluctant to take on the Epstein story. In fact, our investigation shows the Times didn't cover Epstein until July 7th of this year, when he was arrested by federal agents. Then a day later, the Times redirected the story, saying the Epstein arrest was all about Donald Trump. Its July 8th headline screamed, "Why the Trump White House is caught up in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal." The New York Times appears to have a lot to explain about the role Ito played with its news coverage. But given the secrecy about the matter so far, don't expect any answers soon. For One American News, this is Richard Pollock from Washington.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.